next year. Oh.
Sorry, that was me.
No, it's okay. It's recording in progress, Kate. Thank you. Okay, so if you're a bee lover, we also have beehives and a beekeeper in the crew. The beekeeper is François, and he's also our lead horticulturist. So since we're a small team, we have a lot of people that multitask a lot. So this is a good example here. Okay, so after the beehive, either you go and see Cronos, the celestial garden, or you go and meet Luc in his little pavilion making wood dust. Luc is there from Thursday to Monday in July and August. He is such a nice man, loves to talk about history, the garden, and of course, wood carving. So tourists can just go in his little pavilion, have a chat, see his nice sculptures, and it makes a really nice encounter. After you have a chat with Luc, you might sit on a bench and enjoy the view, then follow the river, visit the gorgeous flowery brook, and go for another encounter with Guylaine this time. Guylaine is our artist in residence. She's present in the garden in July and August as well, like Luc. She is demonstrating the art of stained glass, and she's passionate about her art. She's also a multitasker, as she's also talented for gardening, and she's in charge of the vegetable garden. For this next slide, I will stick with the artistic team to talk about a new activity that we have going on this year. It's called Plein Air au Jardin. So every Thursday of June, July, and August, we have between 6 and 8 painters coming to the garden to paint scenes of the garden. Actually, today we had 11 painters in the garden, so it's a great event. Visitors are welcome to question them about their work and to watch them paint. And afterwards, an exhibition of paintings is then placed in the herbalist shop, and it changes every month with the paintings that they did in the garden the previous month. This creates a great collection of paintings evolving with various blooms and with the season. So it's a really nice activity. Okay, as you walk in the garden and make a lot of friendly encounters, you will also cross impressive mosaicultures. Mosaicultures are structures of various shapes covered in plants. We have 12 sculptures in our collection, and we expose between 6 and 9 of them per year. Our biggest mosaiculture is the Canadian horse. It is about 12 feet high, and it's a real beauty. It's a showstopper, and it's on everybody's pictures when they go back home. So we really like this one as well. This year, we're doing a pilot project with a portion of our mosaiculture exposition. We're working with a company out of Montreal to integrate motion sensors in 4 of our structures so that when visitors pass in front of the mosaic, they already like it, but something else happens. You might pass by the gardener, for example, and it starts watering his plants, or it tells you a joke, or it starts whistling. So it's kind of just adding to the experience, and it's a really exciting project. As the team, they are actually coming next week to install the devices. So we're eager to see the results, and if it works well, and we might do a second phase next year and animate more in the garden. Okay, so you can see free Wi-Fi on the screen. I know it doesn't sound that exciting, but I'll explain why. One of the mandates I had when I started at the garden 4 years ago was to modernize the garden and diversify our value proposition for visitors. The mosaiculture project that I just talked about is a good example. Some passionate gardeners will come to the garden solely for the plants, but a lot of visitors also want to be entertained, and they want to learn, a few things along the way as well. So as we've seen in the presentation earlier, we have artists, we have workshops, we have painters, but we also wanted to add some options that people could explore on their own. So in 2019 and in 2020, we completed the installation of underground fiber optic around and in the garden so that we can now offer free Wi-Fi throughout the garden. It may sound simple, but it was quite a project to make sure that we have réseau everywhere in the garden. By doing this, it enabled us to add multimedia content in the garden for educational and entertainment purposes. So we have two types of information platform, both using QR codes. If some of you have your cell phone, you can scan the code and explore one of our featured plants of this year. We completed the course that we have in the garden this year using a platform from a Québec startup. And in total, we have 11 of these codes in the garden, and a total of 42 codes can be found in the region. Most of the other codes feature artwork. It's a collaborative project with the Edmundston Art Center, the tourism office, and our neighboring provincial park. The idea was to kind of use the same display so that people can easily recognize them in the town and know how to use them to learn more about the garden, art, and what we have to offer in general in town. With that platform, we can integrate quizzes, photo booths, videos, and many other options that can easily be changed every year. So that's an interesting thing. Like with the featured plants, every year we feature 8 different plants and we play around with them in those codes, and it's a nice experience. The other type of informative content that we have in the garden is a little bit more formal, with some video content when you follow the QR code. So we have quite a few of those nice panels in the garden, so that serves as educational content. All right. So after you walk through the garden, best place to eat and relax is on the terrace of the Café Flora. It is just in front of the waterfalls, and it provides an incredible view of the garden. On the picture that you see is our revamped terrace. There's no clients on the patio just because the picture was taken before the opening of the season. But trust me, it is always full. It's a really nice place to eat. The food is excellent. The restaurant is a part of the botanical garden. It's not an independent restaurant, and it is managed as an integral activity taking place at the garden. The cafe itself attracts a lot of people to the garden, and it's a big contributor to our success. After you explore the garden, you might want to take a little time inside the pavilion to visit our insect exhibition. In this small insectarium, since 2019, is an insect exhibition on phasmids. So phasmids are also called stick insects, and this type of insect mimics part of plants like smooth or spiny branches, leaves, or twigs to camouflage themselves in their environment. Previous to this exhibition, we had, before 2019, for 10 years, we had butterflies of the world in that showroom. We also have a nice little gift shop with over 45 consignment contracts where we feature regional craft products. Just to wrap up the first part of the virtual tour, before I go into some initiatives in place and some special events, I will show you a promotional video that we have for this year, kind of to keep you awake and to allow me to take a drink of water. So I'll just show you what goes on our regional television station at the moment. Okay. All right. With this next slide, I just want to touch base on a few environmentally friendly initiatives that we have in place. I mentioned the water feature in the garden earlier. The water that comes from the waterfalls is pumped from the river and returned to the river at the end of the waterway. We also pump the water from the river for our irrigation system, and we use as little drinking water as possible to minimize our footprint on the environment. We don't use any herbicides in the garden. When needed, we use biological controls in the greenhouses, and we solely use organic fertilizer. About half of the mulch that we use comes from our own branches, leaves, and trees that we chip on site and add to the flower beds and our tree bases. Some initiatives also take place in the cafe, where we package our takeout orders in eco-responsible packaging. We have no plastic straws, and all of our food leftovers are actually going to feed some farm animals. And we try to purchase as local as possible. Another upgrade that we have been working on for the last 2 years is to increase accessibility to all parts of the garden. As an example, and as you can see on the picture, last year we modified the paths in the rose garden and in the perennial garden. These paths were originally covered with big flat rocks, which were beautiful, by the way, but they were uneven and really difficult for people in wheelchair or even for people having difficulty to walk. Last year was quite a slow year for us because of COVID. So we got less than half of our usual visitors. So just a funny fact is that this extensive work that you see was done during construction holidays. And that's in July, which is usually our busiest weeks of the summer. So there was not a lot of tourists. So we did this big job during that time, but we're really happy about the result. And now our paths are all accessible to wheelchair. So that's a big plus for us. Another fun project that we're working on at the moment is the Kids Corner. Yes, we want to put educational information in the garden, but we also want a place for kids where they can touch and explore. So this is a project I'm really excited about. I know my kids will really like it. And I know a lot of kids will like it. And in that corner, we will have one of our animated mosaiculture. So as you can see on the right, we have Mother Turtle with her 3 young ones. And the kids will be able to sit on the turtle. And when they do sit on the turtle, there'll be like a little trigger and kind of a vibration as if the turtle was moving. And depending if there's 1 or 2 or 3 kids sitting on the saddles, there'll be a melody evolving with how many kids are sitting on the turtle. So I think that will be kind of fun. We're working on a little tunnel, and we'll have various things for kids to play in that area. Talking about kids, there will be quite a few around my office right next door, starting next week. We have our summer camps. These summer camps are a part of our educational program. These are really appreciated by kids and parents. We offer educational activities about plants, animal, environment, and wellness. Pre-COVID, we were also involved a lot with schools. And personally, we miss those classrooms coming to the garden. But I'm sure it will come back in the future years. We also had some workshop that we would go and give in the classroom. For example, in winter 2020, like in autumn, winter 2020, just before COVID kind of went crazy, we gave a series of workshops in collaboration with Université Moncton Edmundston campus with the forestry program about the importance and the role of forests. The prior years, for 3 years prior to that, we gave workshops on pollinating insects. And we used to reach about 1,000 students per year with this program. In the education part, we try to have something for everybody, and we sometimes have special projects. This project I'm just gonna talk a little bit about was done a few years ago, and it was a wonderful project where the project coordinator would go and meet seniors and collect information and tips about gardening. Then the knowledge was shared with various groups as workshops or leaflets. And as an example, we can see Madame Ouellette on the slide, in 95, who shared tips about the art of growing flowers in pots. We had Monsieur Bélanger, which is in the other part of the picture, explaining ways that he found to garden more easily and longer. So it was really a nice gathering of information and sharing with different generations. We are also involved in the community. We participate in fundraising activities for a few causes, like the Tree of Hope, which helps people with cancer pay for travel involved with treatments. We also provide flowers and plants to various groups like church, Boy Scouts, local parks, the hospital, etc. For the second year this year, we're involved in this great partnership with the community college, the regional correctional center, and the local food bank. The project is led and coordinated by the Community College Research Center in Agriculture. We at the garden are responsible to produce a portion of the seedlings, mainly squash and cucumber. And the inmates are responsible for field prep, plantation, maintenance, and harvesting. It's a project that we're really proud of because of the contribution. I mean, the contribution to food safety in the region. And it's also a great opportunity for inmates to give back to the community. Last year, this project generated 5,000 pounds of fresh vegetable for the food bank. And this year we aim at producing 12,000 pounds. Apart from our regular programming, we also have musicians coming on site from 5 to 7 every Thursday of July. And we have 3 festivals that I'm going to touch base on in the next slides. Our first festival is the Sortie Branchée, en Acadie. It's always a weekend prior to Acadian Day, which is celebrated on August 15th. We usually have a big tent on site, and we have music shows. We had the pleasure to have Zachary Richard for the last 2 years before the pandemic, and it's really appreciated. It's a nice place to have a show outside and all that. So people really like this festival. So we not only have shows during the evening, but it's also the time of year where we open our doors to public for free. We have about 20 to 25 stations throughout the garden with activities for kids and adults. These family days are really appreciated, and it's also a way to reach the families that would not normally come to the garden. And this year we're preparing our 5th anniversary for the event, and we hope that we'll be able to do everything that we want, depending on the plan, with the restrictions, but I think it's well on its way. And for this event, at the last normal year, it attracted around 4,000 people. Our most famous festival, or our most known festival, is the Grande Grouille d'Automne. It takes place during the first full weekend of October, or for some, an easier reference would be after moose hunting. We celebrated the Grande Grouille 10th anniversary in 2019, and that year we attracted 14,500 people in 3.5 days. So it's about a third of our global visitors number. So it's a really big festival for us. It's a magical event. The whole garden is transformed and decorated. We have between 2,000 and 3,000 carved and lit pumpkins that are placed along the trails. We have musicians, people from the circus, entertainment for kids, good food and good drinks, and good time. We normally have a pumpkin decorating contest with schools. That contest includes many classes in about 10 to 12 schools in the district, which totals about 600 pumpkins. On the picture, you can see the 2019 Coup de cœur du public, which is the clumsy witch, la sorcière maladroite. So this class won a pass to come to the garden for free. I have a little promotional video that was filmed in 2019 with the intent of using it for 2020. But because of COVID, we didn't use it. We couldn't do the event at its full. The dates are not good, but I thought I would just show it to you so it gives you a sense of what it can look like in the garden during that convoy. So I will do that. Oops, not again. Okay. All right. Our newest festival is called the Jardin emballé, which would kind of translate into the wrapped garden or something like that, I guess. This is the first weekend of November, and call us crazy, but we started this event last year during the pandemic. We kind of took the opportunity because a lot of artists and artisans were disappointed that there has been no farmers market or no craft show or these type of things during the season at all. And we had the garden throughout the season and throughout the small events that we did. We kind of gathered experience dealing with traffic and crowds and all that. And we have nice outside space that we can use. So we got sponsored by the Art Center in the town of Edmundston to launch. Last year, we had 50 exhibitors, some in the herbalist shop, some under a big tent, some in little cabins like you can see on the picture. We had 3,000 people total coming in 3 days. We organized the schedule and the traffic so that we never got over 405 people in the garden at the same time. It was quite a trick to manage that, but the event went really smoothly. The weather was exceptional and people were patient. I think everybody was so eager to do something that they were all okay with the wait and the rules and all that. So it was a good success. We were happy about our first edition. This year, if we can, we'll add more family activities. So here is a little bit more pictures of what it looked like. So the garden was decorated more kind of wintry, festive type of ambience. So that's the end of my presentation. I just want to leave you on this note. For me, the New Brunswick Botanical Garden is a place of contemplation, a place of gathering, a place of learning, and a place of creativity. But it's different for everybody. So I hope you get a chance to visit and to let us know what our garden is to you. So thank you.
Merci, merci beaucoup, Josée. Sincere thank you, Josée, for this very insightful presentation. And we saw the creativity that your garden has demonstrated, and certainly also how it's contributing to the sustainability of the garden. and also protecting natural and cultural landscape. And you're right that gardens are there, but the clientele is changing, and the public is looking for different things, and also there is a younger generation also coming in. So I think what you showed us is that you are very aware and cognizant of this clientele, and looking at how can you support it. So the New Brunswick Botanical Garden is certainly an inspiration for all of us, and certainly to everybody that participating tonight. I encourage you to put this garden on your destination as you travel, and if you haven't already been there, maybe it's time to plan to visit once COVID permits us to go from province to province. I'm sure that Josée will be more than welcome to host us as we move forward. And so, merci beaucoup encore for this beautiful presentation, and sharing this garden with us, because we can't get there right now, but inspiring us to visit this garden as we move forward. And now we're going to open it up for questions, and we have about 15 minutes left here.
Yes, I have lots of questions. Are you going to start, Michelle?
Yes, I will give the first question. So, Josée, with your experience there over the past 3 years and moving into your 40s, how has your garden contributed to the broader community, the Edmundston community?
Well, there's different ways. I mean, there's certainly the economic impact. I mean, we're a small town. We have 16,000 people. We attract about 40,000, with about a third off season, kind of not in the summer, in October. So I mean, that's a really good impact with the hotels. We try to do deals with the provincial park and things like that. And also, we really there's a lot more members. Like in the past few years, we have a lot of seniors coming just to walk in the garden, because they feel safe to walk and to come and relax and just see people, kind of and break isolation a little bit. But we also have some young families that will come and with their kids and learn things and just look at the flowers and all that. So I think it's really a safe place, and a place of gathering, and a place where we can have events, where we can everybody kind of has their own feeling about the garden, but I think it brings a lot to the community.
Well, thank you. And now I'm going to hand it over to Kath. I think she's got a lot of questions.
I do. I have so many, and I'm going to start in the order that they came in. So Jim and Nora wanted to know about the beautiful rhododendron in your presentation.
Yeah. It's a rosy light, and it's so beautiful. It blooms early June. Well, depending on the season. This season it was so hot early. It bloomed from late May to about the third week of June.
Okay, great, thank you. And Marva wanted to know, do you use ingredients from the garden in the restaurant?
Yes, we use some herbs that we have in the garden. Mostly that's what we use. We don't really use vegetable because the quantity is kind of not enough, but all the herbs we use at the cafe.
Okay, and
also flowers, edible flowers.
She had a follow-up question. Could you talk about the mosaic sculptures and the efforts to maintain them, what it takes to keep them looking so beautiful?
Yeah, I mean, they're beautiful. They're a lot of work. Before I came, like probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe, most of them were done here at the garden. But because we're such a small team, and at the same time that we have to, prepare the field and plant and everything, Now they're made at Normand Francard in Drummond. But it needs to, every 3 to 4 years, they need to be completely refilled and retarped, and but they're planted every year. So they need to be planted every year in a greenhouse in advance, and they need to be watered every day because it dries quite quickly. But they're beautiful. I don't know if it answers the question.
Thanks for those great questions, Marwa. Steve is asking, how were the paths made more accessible?
How were the passes?
The pathways.
The paths. Sorry. Yeah. Well, because when we had like those big flat rocks, it was really uneven, and it was tough to go in the wheelchair. So we took all of them out, and we filled the path with waste product that we call, and we compressed it very well, and now it goes everywhere in the garden with a wheelchair. So that's how we did it.
Okay. Heather is asking, how many visitors per year? Not thinking about COVID, but normally, what would you?
Around 40,000.
Wow. Okay. And part of that too is Susan is asking, when is the garden open?
Well, this year and last year, we kind of opened a little bit later because it was so up in the air with COVID and all. So this year we opened the 5th of June, and we're open until the end of September. A regular year, we would be open between the 3rd week of May and the last week of May until the end of September. Then we close for a couple of days. We open for the Grande Grouille. Then we close and we open for the Jardin Valley. So the regular season is early June to late September.
Okay. What Sheila's asking, what zone are you in?
3.
Okay. Satya is asking if you can share what your annual revenue is, and do you get that from fees or donations? And she notes, what a lovely garden and what amazing events you have.
Thank you. For the and about, I would say 40% comes from a provincial engagement, and the rest will come a little bit from federal funding for the students and things like that. 50% is revenue generated from the activities and the visitors and the restaurant.
A follow-up on that from Monique is, do you get assistance from the government of New Brunswick?
Yeah, well, we manage the garden as an independent corporation, but we have a contract with the government, and they give us a little bit, they give us about 40% of the financing of the budget that we have for the garden.
I'd like to just read this comment to you. It's from Sandra Lopez, who says, I'm sorry to say that although I've been to Edmundston twice, 2018 and 2019, I had never heard about this beautiful place. We'll be visiting it for sure next time we drive to the east. So grateful to attend this webinar. Thank you very much. Do you think that you have one of the best hidden treasures? And do you find that people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is here?
Yes, I mean, marketing is always a challenge to reach out to people. We don't have a huge team. We don't have a huge budget either for the size of the garden that we have. So yes, I mean, a lot of people say, hey, I didn't know that existed, but we're happy to spread the news and go spread the good news to everybody, and everybody's welcome to come and visit the garden.
If people are garden lovers and they're coming to see the New Brunswick Botanical Garden, what else would you think that they should see in their tour around New Brunswick? if you know, representing New Brunswick and the wonderful things there are to see there, what else would you suggest that people spend some time on?
Oh my God, I would need the tourism office for that one, but I mean the Kingsbury Garden is in New Brunswick and is amazing. We have some locally owned gardens that are really great as well. In Edmundston, Jardin de Gus is exceptional. There of course there's lobster, but that's more south of the province. Here we have some really nice bike trails where we're known for that here. And yeah, I don't know.
I know I've totally put you on the spot there. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe we can create a garden trail of New Brunswick, right? That's your next mission there, Josée.
All right, I'll think about it.
Okay, right.
I see another question, and I'm obviously very interested in some of the legislative side of things. Does the government of New Brunswick put restrictions on what you can do at your garden, or do they just say be as creative and as wonderful as you want?
That would be nice. No, okay. I mean we have a contract agreement. You know, there are some points that we need to respect, like we can't be a competition for, you know, other businesses and things like that. We need to stay within some regulations. We can't allow some certain activities, but it's pretty open. Like for the type of activities we want to organize and things like that, we kind of sign it at the beginning of the year, and you know, as long as it makes sense and it makes sense for the province, we're good to go.
I have one more question from me, Josée, which is, what is on your dream list of what you would like to do? If you had one or two things that are percolating away in your brain going, oh my goodness, I'm planning this.
Well, one thing I would really like is to have a larger team. I have an incredible team, but there's so much to do, and there's not enough time in the season to do everything that we would want to do. So that's one thing. Other than that, I mean, of course, have a bigger budget to buy more plants and to maybe develop, you know, a little something that we have in our mind that we want to do eventually is to have a First Nation garden that we would like to develop, you know, with the First Nation here in the region and those in New Brunswick. We have a lot of projects that we would like to do. The Kids Corner was kind of one of the things we had in mind for the last couple of years. So as we go, we do what we can with the budget that we have, and the team is so creative that sometimes you don't need that much money to, you know, have big impacts and develop new things that are great and that support what the tourists like.
Question just in from June. She wants to know how big the garden is, like how many acres it covers.
It's about 20 acres.
Okay. Who was the artist who did the Chronos sculpture, and where is he from?
Her name is Evelyne Galland-Fournier, and she's from Edmundston. And that art piece was done, I believe it was 11 years ago, about 11 years ago. Yeah. And
I should say Jim and Nora did not. They said, where is that person from? I just made them a he, she there. Before I hand it back to Michelle, I just want to say to the people who have joined us today, I am Monkey Fingers Kath, and they will know that I was fiddling with a setting and I duplicated the event and had to cancel one, and they ended up sending up a cancellation notice, and then the link didn't work today. So my apologies for, we have so many people that attended, so clearly you're all very smart and figured it out. I just wanted to apologize for the inconvenience. That was entirely me. And if anyone had told me this world that I would end up talking about the interconnectivity of marketing and event platforms. I just wouldn't even have believed it. So thank you all for doing that. I just will say, lesson learned. Don't push that button without really thinking about it. And for those of you who have been wondering about video and audio things, because this is a webinar and not a meeting, you're sitting there in the dark, and we're here on the panel. But so I just wanted to explain that and say you're all so lovely, and thank you for bearing with me in my inadvertent. Oops, what does that button do? So thank you. Back to you, Michelle.
Well, thank you, Kat, for facilitating all this on behalf of the Canadensis Botanical Garden Society. But a special thank you to Josée for this presentation tonight on behalf of Canadensis Botanical Garden Society and all the participants this evening that have been here listening and looking. I surely that we really appreciated this, and I look forward to my next visit, and I'm sure that many participants will be putting your garden on their destination this summer, or maybe next summer, or when we can get there. And I encourage everybody to visit your website and maybe sign up if there's a newsletter, and keep informed to what's happening. So just following this evening presentation, there will be a winner of 2 admission to the New Brunswick Botanical Garden, thanks to Josée. And so these will be selected by amongst the participants. Kath is going to do that and advise you. And as well, at the end of the series of all these, the gardens that we are doing, there will also be additional gifts, and there will also be 2 tickets there for a visit to this very special garden. So thank you, Josée, for your generous gift and being with us and sharing your passion, because we did notice a little bit of passion in there for this beautiful garden that you have. So the next presentation, as I said, this is a series. The next presentation is on July the 29th, and that's when we will be visiting the Memorial University of Newfoundland's Botanical Gardens with Todd Boland, who is the Director of Horticulture there. And I think Todd was on the...
I think he's here.
Yes,
he's here.
Yeah, he's been watching. I heard Josée was there when Alexander was presenting. So interesting to... And certainly we look forward to hearing from Todd in this beautiful garden. And I have to say that Todd is also involved with the Canadian Garden Council and is very much active in the garden world. So it'll be very interesting to hear from them. And I also like to say that with Josée, we've already talked about, we're going to put this garden on Canada's garden route, her garden, her special garden. And so to promote right across the country with her to get more visitors to the garden. And so registration for the presentation on the MUN Botanical Gardens will open right after this event. I understand you're going to get a notice, right, Cap?
At 8:10, I will send my thank yous and make you, everyone who attended here. I mean, I know they're pre-events, but you will get the link before anybody else, so you can register and join us on Thursday, July 29th.
Okay. And in closing, certainly we invite you to visit Canadensis website where you can learn more about our plans for a Garden of Canada in the capital. I think you might have heard this before. We're the only G20 without a national garden, and we'd love to get one here. So you can become a member, you can make a donation, and we are there working hard in getting this done. And hopefully in the near future, thanks to your participation, we will be able to confirm that we can have a national guard here in the capital, and so you can follow us on Facebook, so that you can keep in touch with us. So thank you for your participation and your support. Hope to see you again next month. Bonne soirée à tous, and it's 8 o'clock. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Josée.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.